Hello everyone, welcome back to Procrastinate with Books. In the honor of Black History Month, today we are doing a specially curated list video that lists down all the different books in various genres, types, categories, age groups, etc. that specifically talk about Black narratives, their contribution towards the history, and their overall lives. Whether you are a seasoned reader or just starting on your literary journey of exploring the Black community, I think there will be instances where you discover something for yourself throughout the video. So there is something for each one of you. So without any further ado, let's quickly jump into the video. First book that I have for you guys is a non-fiction memoir which is Becoming by Michelle Obama, and it's the story of her own life right from the childhood when she was actually born in the south side of Chicago, and to the overall journey that she had had of becoming a motherhood, embracing her children, family, and even becoming the first lady to reside as an African American in the White House, and how all of these years and her overall journey has shaped into the true personality that she has become today, and also what kind of contributions she has made out in the world, the true tellings from a personal and private perspective to a public figure with standing that she already has. All that is discussed into great lengths in detail, and if you are someone who does enjoy reading memoirs a lot like me, I think this would be a really inspirational way to get started in. Vanishing Half is a beautiful tale about two twin sisters who escape their small little town to make an identity for themselves and live a different life. One of them, on a later phase of life, ends up living in the same little town with her own daughter, while the other one is totally living a different life and passing out to be a white person. She's married to a white husband, and in a later phase of life, the storylines of their own daughters might intertwine at some level in life, and it's to be seen how they both perceive each other and what kind of family bonds, connections will grow out from that phase. It's a perfect combination of contemporary world to historical fiction mixture, which intertwines at different levels throughout the story going. If you do enjoy such amalgamation of stories in different timelines, then I think you can try this book. Next book is a romance, which is an adult romance. 7 Days in June is a beautiful tale of two different Black writers, and when their path intertwine once they are at a pretty much peak of their career, each at a literary event, sparks are flying out. But what the normal public does not know is that they have met each other in past and they have had a lasting week full of romance. But it obviously resulted in one of the persons having to face a heartbreak, and things haven't been exactly normal since then because they have both been writing to each other through their books, and there is obviously a steaming chemistry between them that is unavoidable. So if you are in for some really decent full romance that revolves around the Black community and the kind of motherhood embracing nature that one has to face with all the other consequences that each of them is having in their own life, I think this could be a trial version for you to go in, and let's hope that you won't be disappointed. Next recommendation is for my fantasy lovers, which is the Broken Earth Trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, and these are all very deeply, densely developed fantasy books. And if you are really looking forward to immerse yourself into a fantasy world that's created by a Black author, but it's exceptionally beautiful and consuming all at the same time, I think you can check this out. My personal favorite from these three books would obviously the fifth season for some reason or the other. I just really love the first part of this trilogy very much. The other two are also great, but I have a special inclination toward the first book for unknown and undiscovered reasons. However, the book here is about the different power manifestation that certain people in the community have, and they are not really looked well upon, especially if you are not really trained by the empire to manage that kind of power. It will end up consuming you and you'll just end up blasting and hurting everyone around you. Our next book is a mystery thriller in YA category, and this one is particularly for the fans of dark academia, or more of a rivalry and academic setting, I would say. With the students are basically starting in a very elite school, that's really hard to get by, but many of them have their secrets, and two of the students in particular are being targeted whose secrets are being revealed out into the public, and now these two people are trying to figure out who's out to get them and what kind of high school drama it is, because it certainly seems much more than a high school level of prank that somebody would play, because someone really is feeling like it's out there to get them. Clap When You Land is a beautiful story of two very young girls. Now, one of the girls is living her life and is basically very excited because it's finally about to be summers, and that's the very time when her hero, her dad, comes to visit her, and she's out at the airport waiting for her father to come. But all that she sees over there is a bunch of people crying because there has been a plane crash, and her mother is actually waiting in the principal's office down at her school to tell her that her father couldn't make it, and things start sliding downhill from there. She's going into this really sad little place where she doesn't know whom to trust anymore and whether there is anything to hold on to in her life anymore. And that's when a very big secret of her father is revealed, that he has this other family on other side of the country, and they are living their own lives, and they are also dealing with his loss. And just when she thought that he has probably lost everything that she ever knew, she is finally figuring out new things and about a new family who might be related to her, and that she might still have a sister out living. The book is a contemporary fiction with certain hints of realistic fiction into it, and also having inclusive elements of poetry that makes it a very novel read for someone new trying something of this particular domain. If retellings are your path, Cinderella is definitely a path that you must venture into. The story is taking place 200 years after when Cinderella happened to meet her dream prince and apparently being saved. We'll talk about that some other day, but for this particular story, now this whole new trend has started where young girls are supposed to present themselves in all their fineries in front of the formal suitors. But the protagonist in the story would much rather, marry her best friend with whom she's at such good terms and knows so well. So, at the day when the ball is supposed to happen, she escapes the place and hides herself in Cinderella's mausoleum. And there she meets someone unexpected who is probably a descendant of Cinderella and her two sisters. And he and she are both going to plan something up together to put down an end to this tradition and possibly to the king as well. The next book up here is When No One Is Watching, which is as much as a thriller as it might also give you a little bit of goosebumps, like a horror book as well. So you can consider them in both of those areas, though there is no specific ghost as such. But there are definitely spooky vibes around in this book. Talking about the story, it's about the redevelopment phases where people are going through in different areas of the city. And when it comes to Brooklyn, where our protagonist Sydney is residing, her whole neighborhood seems to change every time she blinks up an eye. There are condos sprouting up just from the grounds in the brink of nowhere. Then there are for sale boards that are rising every now and then for the next door houses. And somehow, once the house is sold, you never really hear back from the person who used to be the pre-owner, sort of a conjecture in that case. And that's where these coincidences that's happening for every other house that's sold in their neighborhood is starting to seem more like a conspiracy, and people are really frightened with what exactly is happening to the prior host of a particular house, and nobody is really safe, nobody knows whom to trust anymore, and that's where the whole mystery is going to unravel. My Government Wants to Kill Me is a beautiful tale of historical fiction that is wonderfully well written, with inclusion of tropes like LGBTQ, and especially related to the queer tropes, and it also has elements of politics into it. So if that's something that coincides well with your interest level, I think this would be a great pick. I've especially heard from a lot of people that the writing style of this book particularly is amazing, and besides the writing style, the overall plot is about a young boy in America who is trying to find his own identity and come to terms with it all amongst 1980s timeline, where there are several social political agendas brewing on, and his own rich family who are trying to mandate their own rules up onto him, and he really doesn't want to live that kind of a lifestyle, so he just leaves her house and the money and everything behind with just a few dollars in his pockets and go out the street, joins different campaigns, start advocating for the epidemic AIDS that was blooming up a lot in those times. And from there on his own journey starts, and this is just the journey of our self-discovery. What's really essential to explore in here is the way the author has entwined fiction with actual reality. That's a must-read aspect of it. For my lovers of light-hearted books and easy-peasy storylines, I think this is the book for you, where you can just pick it up, read it through, maybe even in a single or two sittings max to max, and then enjoy your day and move ahead with your life. I think this is the kind of book that you can try on. It's about Nora, who is an assistant at a publishing company, and she thought that she landed at her dream job at Pearson's when she became an assistant over there. But 5 years into the job, just making coffee, making tiny notes, and as per my last mail kind of conversations with everybody around her, she's not really feeling the best of herself. On top of that, there are cost cuttings that are going on right now, and it's become really difficult for her to survive with the bare minimum salary that she has. At the end, she ends up acting like a poaching agent kind of, where she's actually taking contents of the most famous author at that particular publication to their rivals, and now she's just stuck amongst all these convolutions that are happening together, and it's all just a brain fed khichdi in there. Now, I read this book prominently at the time when I was specifically looking out for the topics of books about books concept, and also something that was very light-hearted, so I don't really have to stress self out with the kind of world build up and all those things, or anything thrilling that might be taxing to my little drenched heart at that point of time. So I think it was a very good read at the situation's perspective, and if that is the kind of situation you are reliving right now, I think it would be a good some go for you to try this one out. And there you have it. This was my self-curated selection for you guys to check in from Black owned voices perspective. And if you're looking forward to actually explore something and pick something out from the Black tapestry of rich culture, expressions, and everything, I think you can pick one of these books out. And while we are equally celebrating diversity in this singular world that we are all living in, I think reading books in different categories and books that discuss different kinds of points of views, I think this would be a really good pick for you to get started on, especially from a theme perspective. And now that it's the month of it, why not begin right now? And thank you so much for joining me in today's journey of this video. I really hope that you found some novel, interesting books for you guys to try on, and that would probably be it. I'll catch up with you in my next video. Until then, keep your coffee strong and your TBRs long. Goodbye.